Good evening, I'm Rena Ninen. They're coming back to America. People from 7 predominantly Muslim countries who had been banned from traveling here under President Trump's controversial executive order. 1 week after the rug was pulled out from under their feet, a federal judge in Seattle rolled out the nation's welcome mat again. Immigration supporters celebrated in major cities today, while the president lamented on Twitter. What is our country coming to when a judge can halt a Homeland Security travel ban and anyone, even with bad intentions, can come into the U.S.? Paula Reed has the latest.
I find that the court should and will grant the temporary restraining order.
Those words lifted President Trump's travel restrictions on people from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. The ruling came in response to a lawsuit filed by Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson.
The law is a powerful thing. It has the ability to hold everybody accountable to it, and that includes the President of the United States.
The judge said it was this argument from the state solicitor general that convinced him the executive order may be unconstitutional.
Our claim about refugees is primarily that it is religiously motivated discrimination, and that the order is in large part motivated by religious animus.
President Trump criticized the judge and the ruling on Twitter. The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned. The White House argues the order is intended to protect the homeland. The Department of Justice is expected to file an emergency petition to allow the federal government to resume enforcement of travel restrictions.
This TRO is granted on a nationwide basis.
Just hours before the judge's ruling, President Trump defended the travel restrictions in a weekly address.
The executive order establishes a process to develop new vetting and mechanisms to ensure those coming into America love and support our people, that they have good intentions.
But after the judge's order, it's back to business as usual for now.
I said from the beginning, it is not the loudest voice that prevails in a courtroom. It's the Constitution. And that's what we heard from Judge Robart today.
This is just the first step in a series of decisions before the courts issue the final word on whether this travel ban is constitutional.
Interesting to see the courts check and balance the executive branch. I'm curious, though, Paula, any way of gauging whether this will be unconstitutional?
In the hearing, the judge hinted that he thinks he sees some problems, especially with how this was drafted so broadly. There were no exceptions for people who had visas because they helped the United States or people who had green cards. That, he suggested, could be a problem when the government tries to argue this is just about national security and not a Muslim ban.
Thanks, Paula.